the 9th of September 2020, the year of a lot of disruption in the world. So I just thought I'll do a quick update video on the koi. You might see a few more koi in here, especially those little things, little Kigoi, Karishigoi, red eye things. I picked them up from Kitsu Koi. Some of these, this little Chagoi thing, and a few others are for sale. So if you're looking for some cheap, good Japanese koi to buy, hit me up, let me know. Not expensive. I got a nice Tosai Chagoi there from Marusai, and a few Tansho Kahakus in here somewhere. Yeah, so there's one there. They're not perfect spots, but they do have their Tancho spots as well, so they will be up for sale. They've been moved on for a friend who looked after a koi from mine from Japan, so it came in with the same time I brought my fish back from quarantine. So yeah, if you're looking for these fish, they're not expensive. There's one there, there's another there, another there, and a Chagoi. I think they're like £150 each, £200 for the biggest one there. And this year's Tosai, they're already about 35 centimeters. So probably by the end of the year, if you keep them heated and fed, I imagine it'll be up to 40 to 45 centimeters as well. So that will be good. So just an update on the pond. I'm feeding close to 700 grams, although the feeder is set at around 6 minutes. I do feed more than the feeder. I feed because I'm home working from home. I come out and I throw handfuls in a day as well. So probably around 700 grams of food a day. So I'm making my way close up to a kilo of food. My goal is to sort of leveled off around 800 to 900 grams, or possibly a kilo. But the water quality is holding really well. And generally the fish are all fine. Had a few treatments to do once I brought my fish back from my fish that was in Japan from quarantine, which is this big girl here. That's my Okawa koi. She came back with a few transit damage, so but she's repairing really rapidly, so that's good. But time would tell whether she's showable next year or perhaps the year after. So yeah, once she came back into my pond, I needed to treat. Once I scraped and I found whatever she came with, scraped and treat the pond. And it's part of normal koi keeping is to know your fish and know the environment. Ideally, I should have my own quarantine, so it comes from quarantine to another quarantine before it comes to my main pond. But to be honest, I don't really have the space or the time to do that. So once I know that there's no risk of KHV, any other parasite I could deal with myself. And I don't really bring in fish that often. These Karishigoi things are from Kitsu Koi that my son loved, and so he picked up those. And then also I picked up this little Matsue female. You could probably see the Marutan from Kitsu Koi. So yeah, few fish added to the pond, which actually increased the rate of how these current fish feed. They're feeding now rather than lazily. They're feeding a little bit more aggressively on the food. Hence, because of all the little ones that are here, they clear up the food quickly. So if you don't get in, they get it, which is good. There's less food being wasted or sat going down into the skimmer, into the drum. There's no point feeding 600 grams of food and then you look every day and there's a couple of handfuls in a drum. That shouldn't happen. They should be eaten, not wasted. So, and there's that little Matsue Maritan. It wasn't expensive, but it is female, from Kitsu Koi. So Kitsu Koi has a lot of great koi over from south of Japan that was supplied by Yumi Koi Japan, and so I asked Mike about them, and he said a very good, very good koi value for the money. So I went and had a look, and I found one I liked, which is rare because I'm ultra picky, and when I'm picking my own fish, it has to hit a lot of levels of what I look for in a koi, and that fish did that. So I'll show you inside the fish house. You haven't seen this maybe for a little while. So pH controller. This is the recycle RO. and that's running really well. My pH is set at 7.2, so in the sunshine, which it is now, it's up by 0.4, which is not a huge swing. That's a good swing for this time of the day, which is 11:45, so that's doing really well. So that's the recycle RO. I use my I use my anti-bac wipes. I wipe everything down. I don't like stuff everywhere. I even wipe the top of the plugs off as well. This is my little toy shelf now that I installed that keeps all the bits and pieces. Sodium thiolate, everybody should have that. In case you have a problem with chlorine, you just drop a handful. I drop a handful straight into the pond. I don't dissolve it. I just take a handful. The fish don't eat it. They actually go the opposite direction of it. And it's good for neutralizing potassium permanganate. So if you could get yourself some sodium thiolate, then please do. I get mine from Amazon, and I think this is a kilo bag. Yeah, and a kilo bag is about £6 or £5.50, and you could buy 6 or 8 of these. I keep them for the discus as well when I'm changing water there. I've got my thermo pen. If you want one of those, send me a message and we could get one to you. If you're going to get a thermo pen, get some of this, and that's, I think, potassium chloride, which is the stuff that probes store refill and storage. So it's good to store that in there. Don't let it run dry. If it run dry, it will die. That's rhymes. Also, I got a probe cleaner. I got buffer 4 there and buffer 7, and yeah, a few odds and ends. I got a new solenoid valve to put in. I've got a few solenoid valves. I buy them and I keep them. When I see them on offer, I buy them, keep them. Some of the records of that when I started keeping fish, my KH checker. My KH is on 15 milligrams, so 17 milligrams is a KH of 1. So I'm running just below a KH of 1 with a pH set at 6.99, 6.98 to 7.0102 thereabout. So that's the bits. This is where I do live. So if you ever join me on my live YouTube live, this is what we do. This is one of the membranes, by the way, that is out of those. So this is the 5 micron. These have been cleaned and ready to go back in. And this is the 20 micron. So they need cleaning now because I'm feeding so much. Probably once every 3 weeks they need cleaning. And you just power wash them off. Although I'm working with Andy to see if we could find like a chemical dip that can clean them. They will never get lily white as they come because of staining. Sodium bicarbonate for all of us boys who run low KH. So let me show you how this works. So when this pH controller senses it's too low, it sends a signal via solenoid valve here, and this solenoid valve opens. In here there is a header tank filled with sodium bicarbonate concentrate, and it runs all the way down here, and it doses directly through one of the up pipes into the pond, and the probe picks it up and then runs it down from there. So that's how it works in that way. So if you're wondering, that's how it works, and this is how it comes in on this point from here. Yeah, so that's just a little bit of what goes on inside the pond in that way. So there's Dylan. Say hi.
Hello.
So yeah, what are you looking for? It's in the house on one of the steps. So yeah, so they're all doing pretty good. If you're wondering what I'm feeding at the moment, here's an example. There's a mixture of color food, there's a mixture of sinking food, and sake R. I only feed sake hikari. I don't really believe in spending a lot of money for fish and feeding them the cheapest food you can get, or equally putting all your money into buying koi and building a pond and then putting cheap inferior media. I'd only use Backy House media, which is in my showers. I wouldn't use any copies or any new fangled media that's out there. Some of the media that's in my shower I've had since 2006, and it's still, other than looking stained from water and whatever goes over them, and all the chemical treatments that a pond is taken, they still look the same size. They've not deteriorated whatsoever. So for me, I'll stick to my backy house media, because what's the point of spending all the money on koi, and the heart of the koi is a filter system, and then putting in inferior media makes zero sense whatsoever. It baffles my mind that someone will spend a lot of money on a koi pond and get the fish in and get the showers and get all the things that they need, and put inferior media. It doesn't make sense whatsoever. So, but what do I know? I've only been keeping koi for coming up since 2004, so you will do the maths on there. So this fish is now looking like it's going to hit around 90 centimeters. Last time I measured her, she was around 87, 88 centimeters. It's hard to measure big fishes because they thrash about, and I don't like just measuring for measuring's sake, risk damaging the fish. So hopefully this year we can get it to 90, and with my current regime of running a low KH and a low pH, it all has to do with ammonia and less ammonia in the pond, and so the fish feeds better, and as you can see, they all feed intently. And one of the things I wanted to mention is that when you it pays a lot to observe your koi, observe what they're doing. A lot of times I will come here and I wouldn't switch off anything, because you want them in their natural state. I would just stand and watch them feed, and when the feeder goes off, it's good to see if they're all feeding. If there's one fish, say there's one fish on its own in a corner or swimming off on its own, not bothered with the food, then you don't need to net that fish today, but just keep your eye on it and see. Just like people, fish do get an off day, or maybe sometimes they're not on the food at that certain feed time. So just observe it. Don't just throw the net in and take fish out every 5 minutes and scrape them. Sometimes you'll get fish that with mucus on its head a little bit, like this big matzo away there. This morning she had a little bit of mucus on her head. The rest are all fine, so I'll keep my eye on, see if there's anything. Sometimes, like I said, some things sort themselves out by themselves. Something don't require just throwing blindly chemicals in your pond, or netting the fish and scraping it and putting it through all that jazz. Observe the fish. There's a lot to learn by just watching and observing how they feed. And fish in their natural behavior should be like what you see here. Everybody milling about for food. Everybody's eating. Some just grubbing on the walls, or there's no flashing and rolling or anything like that. And they're happily hitting the food. So that's really what you want to look for in your koi. Not many people observe their fish, and if they do observe their fish, they wait. Let me just shut this now, because the rabbit's going to go in. Yeah, so not many people observe their fish because they wait, or when they try to observe them, they knock off the air, and fish will behave differently. As soon as you knock off the air or do something a bit different to what they used to do, they will behave in a different way. So you've got to be careful to observe them in a natural state, or even from a window like I do, but in that way. So their feeder is just going off again, and although I just threw a handful in, they will come over and they would nail this. Now, because it's still lunchtime, early morning, coming up to lunchtime, they're not crashing at the food, which they shouldn't be doing. If that's the case, you're not feeding enough. But come late tonight, I would have filmed tonight, but I'm out fishing today. But come later tonight, then you would notice that they would all, as soon as the feeder is going off, they're pretty much taking it from the feeder as it hits the water. And that's different times of day. Fish feed differently. I always recommend a feeder for growing fish, because you're able to feed them when you're not home. Some people depend on throwing handfuls in and watching them. That's not a good way to grow koi. That's not because I said so, but because a lot of the breeders who grow fish, like Kentaro Sakai and Takigawa and all these main breeders of koi, they all use auto feeders, because you can't be there every second of the day to feed them. But I feed my fish in such a way that if I throw a handful of food, they'll come to it. So in that way, then I'm able to observe them. And every day, rain or shine, I'm out here 2 or 3 times. Just because I have a drum doesn't mean I'm not observing my fish. Sometimes people think, well, drum is just a lazy man's way to keep in koi. No, it's, well, try cutting your grass with try cutting your lawn with a pair of scissors. And so you can still cut it, and you could say, well, I'm being better for the environment by using a pair of scissors and getting exercise, but it's not efficient. Drum are efficient. If you're going to keep koi, you need to get yourself an RDF. Yes, you can do other things with other ways, but it's according to your time. And I've got a young family, and I love spending time with my boys and my little girl, so and my koi. So I have to balance out things. And if you're a dad or parent, you would know what I mean in that way. So these are the fish, all in their natural way of just enjoying their food and grazing. And I just wanted to drop this video just as an update, because I haven't done a video for a while, and I'm not sure when there will be a video. And so I just want to encourage you as well to like and subscribe. Thank you to all those people who has liked and subscribed to the videos, to my videos, and those who join me on the live and share it. Because you do this, it's able to help me produce more videos. And I'm hoping to, if we can get ourselves to 3,000 subscribers, I'm going to change the logo, Rastakoi logo. When I say change it, update it to represent that we are a global family. And coming this autumn, or as the Americans will call it, fall, I will be bringing out some Rastakoi hoodies and t-shirts in a modern style. So don't expect a typical old school look of them. These are going to be a little bit more trendy. So if you're older and you don't like trend, you may not like these so much, but I'm sure the hoodies may suit you in that way. So this is my koi pond. Now a lot of the fish that's in here, especially those small karishigoi things that my kids bought that are down there now and they're growing, they're from I think Chris said they're initially from Yagenji koi farm, but he reckoned that Yagenji had got them from Konishi. And if you have any time, just Google Konishi karishigoi and you would see they grow absolute logs. And I love this little one there that's mango color. So it's just rabbit chewing the fence. Anyhow, yeah, so let me see what she's doing. Coco, what are you doing? She's behind there, look. Coco, what are you doing? Look. Hey, what are you doing? Digging up behind my fence. Go on, get out of there. There you go. So she's gone over there, look. Hey. Hi. Come on, Coco. Come on, Coco. Come on. Infamous Coco. Yeah, so there you go. Just one more sort of pattern shot of the fish, all feeding and doing good. These are all my plants. Hot chilies. This is black pine from Wakai Pine. Shout out to Stephen and Anthony if you're looking for some black pines. This is a black pine, I believe, and this is a red pine from Wakai Pines. Wakai Pines. Have a look at their website, or they have a YouTube channel as well, where you can order your own pines, from black pines to red pines to white pines to Takigawa pines. If you ask Stephen about Takigawa pines, he would tell you what they are. They're the ones him and I jumped out and picked. So he's hopefully reserved me two. I want 2 Takigawa line pines. So this is my beautiful Takigawa Sanki. Bought last year as Nisai, last year November while I was there, and it's going to be Sansai this year, and that's also Takigawa Kahaku there. So yes, all the fish are cruising and enjoying their morning treats and rest. And just one more thing before I sign off this video. When looking at koi, we always look at things that will keep our pond safe and eventually have power cuts and things. So one of the things I was able to pick up, put the light back on, one of the things I was able to pick up from Kitsu Koi was this, which is a battery operated air pump. Now the only thing, it's a little bit noisy, but being outside here, it doesn't matter. But basically, if there's a power cut, and I'll show you how it works, that's the plug for it, and if there's a power cut, so let's simulate that by switching it off. So there's a power cut, but it would run for, and Chris tells me, 8 hours, and you can see the air is still running there. So that is something I invested in, and if you want one of those, give Kitsukoi Chris a call, and basically if you have a power cut, that will continue running. And then also you could sort of turn down the airflow, how much you use. At the moment I have it down a little bit. It's a bit muggy today. I do also have a generator in the garage, but the problem with a generator, like today I'm going fishing, I booked the day off to go fishing. So if we have a power cut, I gotta come home, I gotta drag the generator out here, fill it up with petrol. I don't think there's any petrol left in it, and then fire it up and then plug it in. Whereas, because this is here all the time, if the power cut happens, there's still air going into the pond consistently and continuously, so there's no change in that way. And like I said, you could bring it up loud, you can hear it. It is not the quietest of things, so that's the only negative review I would give it, is that it is loud compared to the one I had before, which is now down on the bottom drains. I keep it down that way. That's that one there. Compared to that one, this one is rather loud, so that's the only thing I would say negative against. So just on a matter of turnover at the moment, I'm turning over 2000 RPMs on the Flow Friend pump. So that's just to let you know. Now see, I've shown you the Flow Friend pump, and I've just realized that last night or this morning before I went to the gym, I was putting some bicarb in the pond, and I must have dribbled some here, so I don't like the pond looking messy. So out of pump, and these pumps are not cheap, as you know, so I like keeping things a little bit tidy in that way. So yeah, so hopefully you'd all pick up on a few things. I want to show you inside my drum while I clean this cover off. It's disinfected. So if you look inside the drum, I haven't cleaned this drum now for 5-6 days, so there's a little bit of muck there, but as you can tell, so I use this cloth and just do one wipe, it's pretty much gone instantly. So it doesn't require any heavy cleaning. But other than that, if you look at the screen, there's no food in the tray. I've just recently changed this UV bulb. You should never look at your UV bulb directly, because you can't damage your eyes that way permanently, so make sure you always do it. And some guys, I think, could put a switch to that, so the moment you open that cover, it automatically switches the UV bulb off. So if you can get one of them switches installed, go ahead and do that. Alright, so that's a good thing. Sorry, I'm just cleaning up while I'm in here as well. So I'll just show you as we go. This is a pattern shot on all the koi feeding. So again, like, subscribe and share this video if you can. Thank you very much to all of you who do. Peace out. You've been filmed. What do you think, Brandon?
That's good.
How much did you have today?
That's it's free now.
And how much did I have?
Good.
Brandon.
Let's see how big it is.
What do you think, Brad? What do you think about fly fishing?
Huh?
What do you think about fly fishing?